Coming up, a homicide investigation in Allen County sees an arrest of a suspect.
A warm one for this week, but we've still got our share of flood warnings to tackle from last week. All the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we take you on a deep dive of the history of Joplin's train depot.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip.
We got about here, there, and everywhere for our Mother's Day as far as our high temperatures went. How was your Mother's Day, Tanya?
Excellent.
Good.
It was great weather, so I got the kids to join me outside doing some yard work.
Cloud cover really helped out yesterday. It kept us from warming up too much. But I saw a wide array of temperatures everywhere from 82 in the Hayslip backyard down to 88 degrees down to the south right there. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day as well. Our daily almanac full of this Monday. I think here's the key factor is our lows overnight only dropped down to 70 degrees. So we're going to be off to a gorgeous start. There we are, a quiet 7th and range line, clear as can be. But we still do have some flood warnings persisting from last week. The Osage, Little Osage and Marmaton up in the northern part of southwest Missouri lasting until Tuesday. Also to the Neosho River running right now through Labette and Cherokee down into Ottawa County. That one lasting until Tuesday morning as well. Keep our eyes on that, and that camera is going to function here in a little bit. A little light cloud cover off to the east, not a whole lot out to the west, regionally speaking. No matter where you got to go, whether you're headed down to Tulsa, Wichita, KC, Springfield, Little Rock, you are 88 and out the gate on this Monday morning. There are no travel concerns throughout the Midwest, and by the time we get into the afternoon, if we're already looking at temperatures as high as 76 right now in Parsons, 73 in Joplin, and 74 in Miami, we know we got a warm one on our hands, and a lot of that is due to the good south wind that we've already got clocking in at 20 miles per hour out in Independence, and slowly but surely we'll see the eastern portion and the central part work up into that 15 to 20 mile an hour range as well. Let's go mid to high 80s later on. You'll notice no wind advisory right now, but it is just going to be blustery throughout. It's a weather trend with nice warm temperatures for the rest of this week coming off of Mother's Day. But perhaps the most important thing is we don't have to worry about any rain for the duration of this week. As a matter of fact, we're going to roll 80s, even 90s by tomorrow, and no precipitation to speak of until later on in the work week. Tanya?
Stretch. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, KBI and Allen County Sheriff's Office have made an arrest related to the death of an Allen County man. Officers arrested Raymond Maloney at his residence in La Harpe, Kansas. Maloney was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder connected to the killing of 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say Maloney and Deal were neighbors. The investigation is still ongoing, and Maloney was arrested without incident. Joplin Fire Marshal is called in to investigate a house fire just after 11:30 Sunday morning. Fire crews were called to this home at 819 South Jackson. Acting Battalion Chief Dustin Lunlow tells us he arrived when the front of the house was fully involved. No one was at the home at the time of the fire. However, one person was checked out by medical personnel as they were checking on occupants before first responders arrived. No firefighters were injured. Fire marshal was called because the cause of the fire is currently unknown. A KOAM traffic alert for drivers on Joplin's southwest side. Starting today, travelers can expect lane shifts at the intersection of 32nd and Schifferdecker. This is as work continues on the 32nd Street widening project. Traffic signals at the intersection will be placed in a flashing red mode, making it a four-way stop. If weather holds, this will be expected to last about a week. There will also be some lane changes as work continues on the widening project in that area. Heads up, weather permitting, folks in the 4 states will be treated to a total lunar eclipse this coming Sunday. According to the site timeandday.com, in Joplin, the eclipse begins around 8:32. The total eclipse will start at 10:29 and reach its peak at 11:11.
Do you want Daryl to switch you or anything? Yeah.
Third President Harry S. Truman. On Saturday, the city celebrated President Truman's birthday by having tours of his childhood home, vendors, World War II reenactments, talent shows, and an assortment of other things.
Yeah, this is a nice event that we have that we work with the Chamber of Commerce, and it brings a lot of local people to Lamar, and it's just a community event that we enjoy doing. That's just to celebrate President Truman's birthday.
President Truman was born May 8, 1884. On Saturday, Baxter Springs held its annual Cowtown Day Spring Fling. The event featured a parade highlighting local first responders, veterans, cars, the local high school band, and many other things. At the conclusion of the parade, there were food trucks and vendors set up for the city to enjoy.
Absolutely. Oh, it's great. It's great. It's just, when you're busy and when you've got kids and everything, it's an excuse to get together and just to kind of hang out and joke around, have a good time. So it's definitely critical to this kind of small town activity, is that relationship aspect.
This is the event's largest crowd since the pandemic. Well, the future of the Joplin Union Depot is looking brighter following an announcement by the Downtown Joplin Alliance on Wednesday. There have been a number of ideas for the depot over the years, which has sat empty since 1969. However, none of those ideas ever came to be, leaving the depot sitting and decaying. We spoke with Jill Sullivan about what makes the depot worth saving even after 53 years.
The building itself is an architectural wonder. It's beautiful and stunning. However, I think all of the stories of the people coming and going to our community, leaving our community, visiting our community, I think that that's just as important to preserve, and that by preserving the building, we also help to preserve those stories.
The depot's construction was featured in a January 1912 article of Popular Mechanics. We'll have a link to that article over at KOAMnewsnow.com. Biologists have discovered 6 new species of miniature frogs in Mexico. Each of the new species is smaller than a penny when fully grown. They've gone unnoticed for centuries because they are tiny and brown and look similar to other frogs. But these amphibians don't develop from tadpoles. Instead, they emerge from eggs as perfect miniature frogs. Little frogs hide in fallen leaves at the bottom of Mexico's forest floors. And scientists from London's Natural History Museum and the University of Cambridge and Texas collaborated on the discovery.
How in the world would they find them being that small? That's crazy. Huh. Temperatures anywhere from 66 to 77. A delightful Monday morning in May, that's for sure. And key factor is don't have to worry about rain anytime soon. Sunrise at 6:15. It is going to be a windy one. Come in from the south, 15 to 25 miles per hour. Lift us up into the high 80s. But check out this 7-day forecast. Whole bunch of 80s, if not 90s, all the way into the latter half of the week. Next shot for rain emerges on Friday, not widespread. Saturday and Sunday, keep that about 40% for both of those days.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, MSSU and PSU take to the diamond in an MIAA tournament. Plus, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness released over the weekend. We'll have details you don't want to miss. And the CDC investigates why there are children with cases of hepatitis. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Came down to one game between Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern. It was game 3 of the opening round of the MIAA tournament. Only the winner would advance to the tournament semifinals later this week. Second inning, 2 on for Tragan Parker from Missouri Southern. Parker, deep into left center for a 3-run homer. Lions stake a claim to a 3-2 lead. Next inning, Jordan Maxon has an answer for Pitt State. Up, and away. 3-run shot, and we're knotted at 5. Speaking of 5s, in the 5th inning, big inning for Southern. Drew Davis. He had 2 home runs in game 2. He hit another one in game 3, make that a grand slam. Lions put up 7 in the inning. They have an 8-run lead. They're cruising. Now, Coach Fornelli says Austin Bonnell's the vocal leader for Pittsburgh State. Well, he never stopped believing, and apparently nobody should. Bonnell's single puts Pitt State now within 1. Huge comeback, and they got more in them. Bottom 8, Garrett McGowan. Homers to left, and just like that, down 8 runs at one point. Pittsburgh State now with a 1-run lead. Later, Maxon. He's got 2 home runs. No, you did not. A school record, 9 RBIs for Maxon. Pitt State stuns Southern with the comeback win, 17-13. Jordan Mendenhall, he got the win on the mound. Also got some high praise from his coach.
Jordan Mendenhall won that baseball game, just like Zach Nagel won our game yesterday. He came in and threw 4 1/3, I think, zeros, and you know, he's been here 4 years. He's never went more than 2 innings, and just his pride and the toughness. That freshman that showed up 4 years ago wouldn't have been able to do that, but today he was, and he never backed down, never wavered, and kept throwing zeros.
Game right there reminded you a little bit of the old college baseball from the late 80s, 90s, you know, and you knew everybody was going to put up umpteen runs. Gorillas headed to the Final Four. That'll take place in Edmond, Oklahoma. Format changes a bit now moving forward. It's now a double elimination bracket, and it runs from Thursday to Saturday. Pitt State's first game against the number 2 seed in the tournament is going to be against Northeastern State. Now, in the regular season, the Riverhawks won the series 2-1. First pitch Thursday, 4:10 in Edmond. It was Championship Sunday at the MIAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships, one of the final meets of the regular season, and right before Nationals at the end of May. Pitt State men entered the weekend aiming to defend their outdoor title and make it back-to-back championships for the Gorillas as they take first place. For the second year in a row, Missouri Southern men, they are the runners-up, and on the women's side, good day to be a Gorilla as Pitt State brought home the first place trophy. Southern finishes in 8. In total, Southern men and women combined to win 8 events and secure 14 all MIAA performances. Crowder opened the postseason with a dominant sweep over St. Louis in the sub-regional. Rough Riders beat the Archers 11-1 in Game 1, then turned around and beat them 9-0, both those games on Saturday. Here's head coach Travis Lalaman on the importance of winning that series and doing so in just 2 games.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, because, you know, you never know when you go to Game 3 what could happen. And you know, we were fortunate enough to get out of the gates and swing it well enough, you know, in Game 1. Shortened the pitch, you know, saved the pitching staff, I should say, shortened the game. And then Game 2, again, did the same thing. We talk about it all year. When you have a chance to shorten games, you have to do it.
Crowder advances to the Region 16 tournament, plays St. Charles. That'll be Tuesday, 4 p.m. That game is going to be in Joplin. Royals hit the field to begin the series, in the series with Baltimore, but you have to remember Mother Nature got in the way. 2 postponements, Royals and Orioles, a Mother's Day doubleheader, and then the series finale, that's going to take place later on today. Let's start with Game 1, 3rd inning. Edward Olivares right back up the middle, RBI single. We're knotted at 1. 7th inning, Royals up 1, Rugned Odor. Skirt it and keep it fair as the Orioles take a lead. But in the 9th, Kansas City steals it back. Salvador Perez adds some insurance. That's going to bring in one Michael A. Taylor. Royals win Game 1, 6-4. Now we go to Game 2, and there were a whole bunch of doubleheaders yesterday because of Mother Nature, and a whole bunch of doubleheader splits. Baltimore and Kansas City were no different as the Orioles evened it up in the nightcap, doubled up, won it 4-2. They had 3 runs in the first inning alone. Cardinals in San Francisco for the weekend series finale. Juan Yepes gets things going in the second. His first career home run. And St. Louis leads 2-0. Later, Yaz Mike Yastrzemski breaks the tie. McCovey Cove bound it is. A splash hit, as they like to call it. 4-3 Giants. In the 8th, Nolan Arenado. Do what you do, man. Do what you do. Good night, Irene. Lays out. And the most impressive thing is the way, how quick Arenado gets up and gets that ball out of his glove. All right, but Arenado could not make it the picture-perfect game. That is him recording the last out. St. Louis falls 4-3, splits the 4-game series with San Francisco. Let's remember, there's no shame in that. Everybody in the National League West has a record over 500. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, the United States announces new sanctions on Russia. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. You know, sometimes you just get in that morning routine, that morning habit, and you're headed out the door. Maybe you're having a cup of coffee. Maybe you take the dogs for an early walk. Maybe you're headed to work. And, just out of habit, you grab a sweatshirt, grab a coat, something like that, and you walk outside today and you go, my goodness, I am not going to need that this morning. 73 degrees is where we stand right now at Joplin Regional Airport as we take a live look over 7th and Rangeline. It's a little bit humid out there, sitting at 87%. Won't be too muggy today, though. It'll actually be just delightful with that wind. That wind will play a factor now, coming in already from the south-southeast. at 13 miles per hour. No wind advisories, but we are going to be up around 15 to 20 miles per hour from the south all day long. Clean Skywatch storm tracker, not only here for the 4 states, pretty much the entire Midwest. We see some light cloud cover that stretches just from our eastern counties of southwest Missouri, makes it over the Mississippi, but no precipitation to speak of. Everybody throughout the entire Midwest a chance to calm down after that record-setting rainfall that we had last week. Now, with that being said, we still do have some warnings out. Those are going to be flood warnings. We'll start with these for the Osage, Little Osage, Marmaton, everything up around Vernon County, lasting until Tuesday morning. And then down to the south, we've got the Neosho River, that one lasting until Tuesday morning as well. Residual flooding still in effect. Nice thing is, by the time we get to the 7-day forecast, even that wet soil is going to have a chance to kind of dry and air out, if you will. The wind warnings, like I said, we don't have one. The wind warning staying out to the west of us and up to the north. But then you see, we know all too well what that green is, and you can just tell little green dots indicating those flood warnings stretching really from East Texas up through us, making their way right along the Mississippi and tracking as far east right now. You have one right there lasting in New York State from all the rain, and that same system that we had. They got locked in the same one. Ridge of the jet stream is actually over the Great Lakes, but we're still seeing the warmer temperatures and a little bit of that warm bubble right there kind of hanging out right over us. We're actually going to be abnormally warm here for really into the weekend. It's not going to be too bad one bit. And matter of fact, maybe a little warm for people as quickly as this has kind of jumped on us right here. Remember the south wind, 15 to 20 miles per hour, topping out around 87. Won't have a really big difference between the temperatures and what it actually feels like. So not one of those where it's going to feel like 94, 95. That's not going to be the case. And then overnight, very similar, if not, maybe just a touch warmer tonight than what we had last night into right now. And as you can tell, really even the green that pops every now and then, that's probably not even going to be able to hit the ground, and certainly nothing organized nor severe to roll through. As far as the severe weather for our week, it's really going to be in the upper plains. They're going to have to bear the brunt. They managed to kind of scrape out just fine last week. Here's a look at the 7-day forecast. You just notice that 90 up there on Wednesday. That's going to be our hottest day. There's a chance to challenge a couple records perhaps by the time Wednesday is over. High 80s Thursday and Friday. Keep the rain really at bay until we get into Saturday and Sunday there. Time now for our KOAM News Now Instapoll. You can also find it on our Facebook page. Latest movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the #1 movie this week. Don't think that comes as any surprise. Rick Damigella talked with Elizabeth Olsen about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
You okay? Things get even stranger in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Wanda, what do you know about the multiverse?
Viz had his theories. He believed it was dangerous.
Elizabeth Olsen continues her WandaVision story arc in the film.
It was kind of a big whirlwind, finishing WandaVision on a Wednesday and going to England on a Friday to quarantine, but then to make this film.
You break the rules. Look out! Become a hero. I do it and I become the enemy.
I do feel like it's just a great continuation. I've really loved being a part of this family. You don't get to do this that often in this job, get to be with a character for 8 years. And so it's been an incredible journey.
If this is your first appointment with Doctor Strange, you may want to prep a bit before entering the Multiverse of Madness.
This is our home.
Then let's fight for it.
Most important is the Disney Plus series WandaVision. If you slept on this one, a binge before seeing the movie wouldn't be a bad thing. And while not as critical, a spin through the alternate realities of Marvel Studios' animated What If series wouldn't hurt either.
Things just got out of hand.
In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
That brings us to today's Morning Talker. Do you prefer Marvel or DC? That's right, we're just going to open up a bag of worms and make it a free-for-all on this Monday morning. I've got Trevor behind the camera. He's already shaking his head at me. He's chastising me during this question. 2 ways to connect. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Take it right to the poll. Or you can connect to us via our Facebook page at KOAM News Now. We'll get to your results a little later in the show. Come back to do Health Watch next.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the Biden administration is issuing a new warning about a potential upcoming surge in the number of COVID cases in the United States. Officials say the U.S. may see as many as 100 million COVID-19 infections this fall and winter. And they say Congress should be asked to approve more funding to prepare the nation for the COVID upswing. Right now, the country is approaching a coronavirus death toll of 1 million. CDC investigates 109 cases of severe hepatitis in children, 5 of them fatal. The cases took place in 25 states and territories over the last 7 months. More than 90% of the children were hospitalized and 14% of them needed liver transplants. Researchers also discovered more than half of the kids had a confirmed adenovirus infection. It's not clear if the adenovirus is the actual cause. CDC has also said the COVID vaccine is not the cause of the illnesses. Nationwide health alert in late April went out regarding a cluster of severe hepatitis cases in 9 Alabama children. There have also been reports of several severe cases across the globe. Eating lots of junk food could be creating a home on the range for bad bacteria to ruin your mouth. University of Buffalo study shows eating fast foods can create a negative microbial environment for bacteria, which can create periodontal illness. Researchers studied data from more than 1,000 postmenopausal women and indicates foods like donuts, soft drinks, and high sugars created possibilities for streptococcus and leptotrachea organisms to thrive. Now, the researchers say oral bacteria reside in the subgingival plate and affects gum disease. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Coming off a Mother's Day that was up into the 80s, overnight lows have just been tremendous. We're in the 70s already, and we've got some 60s still hanging out. That's still very comfortable out on the eastern edge of southwest Missouri. 66 in Monette and Coffeyville, already 76 in Neodesha. 7-day forecast, this will be our warmest string of consistent temperatures for 2022 so far.
Coming up, a homicide investigation in Allen County sees an arrest of a suspect.
Wind's certainly going to play a factor in our Monday weather, but it's a warm start to the week and a warm week ahead. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we take you on a deep dive of the history of Joplin's train depot.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:32. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment. But first, let's go to Michael Hayslip. We're singing a different tune this week.
Say what?
We're singing a little bit different tune this week with the weather.
Yes, sorry I can't hear you. Number 1, my hearing's bad, period. Number 2, with the inordinate amount of box fans that we have blowing in our studio right now, it's a little bit noisy in here. So for those of you that we like to peel back the curtain, we have to keep our instruments, our computers, our equipment very, very cool. And when Mother Nature's like, boom, I'm coming at you with the warmer temps, and we go, we got to get that air conditioner checked.
Yep. We kept telling everybody, you better make sure your AC's in working order for this week.
It's just like I tell my kids, do as I say, not as I do.
And whose AC is broken? Ours.
It happens. we want to make sure everybody's taken care of first. Service before self is what I was trying to get out of my mouth right there. Just a second ago, we had a nice bustling 7th and Range line. Evidently the light must have turned green right there. Chances are people are going to have their windows down for the morning commute. It is so delightful outside. I do want to tackle flood warnings that we have left, northern portion of Missouri for the Osage, Little Osage, Marmonton, those lasting until Tuesday morning. And then in the south, the Neosho River still in the midst of a flood warning as well, lasting from, say, that Parsons Gauge down through Oswego, across the state line into portions of Commerce and Miami. Skywatch Storm Tracker remains clear. This is just going to be a gorgeous, gorgeous Monday. We don't have to watch anything coming up from then down to the west, down to the south. Nothing's going to formulate on us. It's just really a whole bunch of sunshine and warm weather for the next 4 days. Temperatures already sitting mid-70s throughout southeast Kansas, mid-60s. And I don't care whether you got a 66 or a 76, that's hard to beat right now for this time of year. 73 in Joplin, 71s in Fort Scott and Nevada, 72 in Miami. It is going to be blustery today, working in from the south, already about 20 miles per hour there in Independence and Chanute, Nevada right behind them at 16, lifting us up into the high 80s. Not a whole lot of differential between the temperature and what it feels like, so not going to be one of those that's oppressively warm for early on, if you will. Sunrise at 6:15, a 7-day forecast. It's up a 90 there on Tuesday, so that's what we'll look at as far as even a possible record breaker. Look at these overnight lows. That is tremendous right there. And the key factor, we don't see any lightning bolts nor raindrops popping up until we get to the end of the work week. Tanya?
All right. Looks like the kids will finally get their first baseball games in this week.
Sounds like we need to reintroduce the lawnmower forecast.
Yeah, I mowed my yard yesterday. I got it done.
I know, I was waiting for you to get yours done so then I could put it up and not feel
Yeah.
guilty about asking you.
You know, I looked at the schedule for the week ahead and all the makeup games and everything that we had going on, and I was like, you know what? If I'm going to get the yard mowed, we're doing it on Mother's Day. The kids joined me outside. We did some yard work. We worked in the flower beds.
It's a great thing about Mother's Day.
Yeah.
You get to decide what gets done.
Right. And you don't feel guilty making your children help you.
Not at all. Just child labor. Isn't that why we have kids?
Yeah.
Right?
No. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, the Joplin Fire Marshal is called in to investigate a house fire just after 11:30 Sunday morning. Fire crews were called to this home at 819 South Jackson. Acting Battalion Chief Dustin Lunlow tells us as he arrived, the front of the house was fully involved. No one was at home at the time of the fire. However, one person was checked out by medical personnel as they were checking on occupants before first responders arrived. No firefighters were injured. The fire marshal was called because the cause of the fire is currently unknown. KBI and Allen County Sheriff's Office have made an arrest related to the death of an Allen County man. Officers arrested Raymond Maloney at his residence in La Harpe, Kansas. Maloney was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder connected to the killing of 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say Maloney and Deal were neighbors. The investigation is still ongoing, and Maloney was arrested without incident. KCU Joplin opened its doors 5 years ago. On Sunday, the school held its second commencement ceremony, and this year's class had a total of 267 total graduates and featured 156 students who received their doctorate. They also held a commissioning ceremony for 9 officers that will go serve in surgery units stationed around the world.
Yeah, I think it's something very special about today. Very surreal. You know, we worked like 4 years, and you know that the finish line comes, but you never expected to be here. So today's a very happy day.
This is the largest class in the school's history. Lamar is the birthplace of our country's 33rd president, Harry S. Truman. On Saturday, the city celebrated President Truman's birthday by having tours of his childhood home, vendors, World War II reenactments, talent shows, and other assortment of other things.
Yeah, this is a nice event that we have that we work with the Chamber of Commerce, and it brings a lot of local people to Lamar, and it's just a community event that we enjoy doing that's just to celebrate President Truman's birthday.
President Truman was born May 8, 1884. On Saturday, Baxter Springs held its annual Cowtown Day Spring Fling. The event featured a parade highlighting local first responders, veterans, cars, the local high school band, and many other things. At the conclusion of the parade, there were food trucks and vendors set up for the city to enjoy.
Absolutely. Oh, it's great. It's great. It's just you know, when you're busy and when you've got kids and everything, it's an excuse to get together and just to kind of hang out and joke around, have a good time. So it's definitely critical to this kind of small town activity, is that relationship aspect.
And this is the event's largest crowd since the pandemic. An announcement Wednesday from the Downtown Joplin Alliance made light at the end of the tunnel a little brighter for Joplin's Union Depot. KOAM's Chris Warner brings us more on the history of this downtown building.
The Joplin Union Depot, Just looking at this video, it's obvious it's seen better days. But its future may be a little brighter as a search begins to find the right developer to come in and breathe new life into this historic structure. We spoke with Jill Sullivan at the Post Art Library in Joplin to learn a little more about the history of this iconic building.
Union Depot was designed by Kansas City-based architect Louis Curtis, who's often referred to as the Frank Lloyd Wright of Kansas City. And it's our Union Depot that really helped, I guess you could say, cement his reputation and become a pioneer in fireproof concrete construction. And the depot opened in 1911, and it was in service as a train depot until it closed in 1969.
Part of that fireproof concrete has a local connection.
He used local chat in the concrete mixture. So it was kind of like reusing a waste product and turning that into something new as well. So that was very innovative at the time. In fact, in 1912, Popular Mechanics magazine wrote about it and acknowledged it.
Sullivan says the need to preserve the building goes beyond the depot itself and deep into its walls.
The building itself is an architectural wonder. It's beautiful and stunning. However, I think all of the stories of the people coming and going to our community, leaving our community, visiting our community, I think that that's just as important to preserve, and that by preserving the building, we also help to preserve those stories.
She says preserving the depot preserves our community.
It's all part of the building of our community, and I think that often people will look at preservation and might think that it's just about the buildings and the materials, but it's really about the people and the stories and the community.
In Joplin, Chris Warner, KOAM News.
We have a link to the Popular Mechanics article Sullivan mentioned in this story at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's Michael with a look at your forecast.
29 minutes away from official sunrise over Joplin. 6:15 is what we'll call it on this Monday, May the 9th. Working up into the high 80s, whole bunch of sunshine. It is going to be breezy, working from the south, 15 to 25 miles per hour. This will be a consistent warm string of high 80s, if not 90s. Our warmest week so far of 2022 by the time we get to the weekend.
This morning we're discussing Doctor Strange. And this weekend, Doctor Strange 2, in the multiverse, came out. That's according to Disney. It had a high opening weekend totaling $85 million. That placed it at the #1 opening movie. Elizabeth Olsen continues her WandaVision story arc in the film as well. If this is your first time with Doctor Strange, you may want to prep before watching the Multiverse of Madness. This includes watching WandaVision and Marvel's What If series.
I thought the whole what if, that was a recommendation.
Did you see Doctor Strange?
Yeah, I have not.
You'll be fine watching it, but if you did watch What If, you will get it. You will get where they got the different scenes because they come from several What If episodes.
I know, but like I'm already through WandaVision. I'm all caught up.
What if? Okay, you only need
I'm like
to watch,
halfway through What If.
You only need to watch a couple episodes of What If.
Oh, I'm fine.
Watch the one that pertains to Doctor Strange.
Okay.
That's a huge one.
Okay. But I mean, there's the only thing I'm missing is like 3 episodes of What If. And I'm completely caught.
But yeah, it does. It ties in some what ifs and uses those ideas in the what if for some of the other storylines in the other multiverses.
All right.
Yeah, that's why.
I got you. I'm fine.
Christine, why she is what she is.
Oh, I'm fine then.
Yeah.
I got you.
But yeah,
so
WandaVision, it's key. It's key to watch WandaVision first because it just follows that storyline.
Now that you've found out that you can yell nerd alert anytime you see Hayslip, and evidently T-Bach.
I'm excited that it actually pulled Disney Plus series into this actual feature
Our
movie.
question is, do you prefer Marvel or DC? Right now, 63% say Marvel.
Okay. Do you have a preference?
Marvel.
This is something we can weigh in. What?
Marvel.
Marvel?
Yeah.
I love Marvel, but my favorite superheroes are DC superheroes.
Who are your favorite superheroes? Ron, I'm sorry. Ron, if you're doing this hour, we've just blown your clock.
My favorite superheroes are Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
All right. Yeah. Why did I know Jason Momoa was going to creep into this
Before they cast Jason Momoa,
somehow.
I love the water.
Right.
But I love what Marvel is doing.
If Jason Momoa was
And I love their series.
If Jason Momoa played Ant-Man, Ant-Man would be your favorite superhero.
I'll be honest with you, I did not like the concept of the multiverse until I watched this newest Doctor Strange, and it finally, everything clicked for me.
Why are you trying to push me off of Jason Momoa?
Okay, we can talk about Jason Momoa all you want. But I'm just saying, this movie does explain the multiverse for a lot of, like, non-hardcore Marvel fans that have been confused. And here's I know we're gonna get to Lawnmower
Let's
Podcast.
bring back the top 5.
Let me tell you, there's
this
some
point.
movies that a 7-year-old can't sit through, and there's some movies that a 7-year-old can sit through. This is one he can sit through. Like, eyes glued to the screen the entire time.
The people have spoken. They want the top 5 back.
Okay, fine.
I really don't know if that's true, but I'm reporting it exclusively from the Skywatch Weather Center.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Tanya got her lawn mowed. How's it going to look for the rest of us?
We already did weather.
I know. Well, you popped it up, so we might as well.
No, we already did it.
Okay.
Before you espoused the virtue of DC and Marvel.
Your
It's time
your background was moving while I was talking.
Well, I'm
so-
working on stuff over here while you're telling me about
Okay,
DC and
okay.
Marvel.
Typically, when we continue to talk about this, that's what's playing in the screen. So, yeah.
I know.
Michael has moved on, so I shall as well.
Moving parts over here.
That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. 11 hospital staffers in Liberty, Missouri end up all expecting at the same time. This happens a lot in the Kansas City area. I can't figure out why. Plus, Biden virtually talks to members of the G7 alongside President Zelensky of Ukraine. We'll have the latest there. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, President Joe Biden spent time Sunday meeting with G7 leaders along with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. New pictures show Biden on the virtual call from his home in Wilmington, Delaware. President Biden said the meeting centered on the G7's commitment to helping Ukraine. The meeting also focused on a new round of sanctions against Russian media companies and exporters. All G7 leaders made a commitment to phase out Russian oil imports in an effort to punish Russia for its invasion of the country. The United States is imposing a new round of sanctions against Russia. On Sunday, the White House announced that the U.S. is cutting off Kremlin-controlled media outlets from American advertisers. It will also prohibit Russia from using U.S.-provided management and accounting consulting services. The announcement also included new export controls against the Russian industrial sector and roughly 2,600 visa restrictions on Russian and Belarusian officials. The growing list of U.S. and Western sanctions imposed on Russia since it invaded Ukraine has pushed the Russian economy into a deep recession as it makes the difficult transition to becoming a closed economy. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The KBI and Allen County Sheriff's Office make an arrest related to the death of an Allen County man. Officers arrested Raymond Maloney at his residence in La Harpe, Kansas. Maloney was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder connected to the killing of 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say Maloney and Deal were neighbors. Investigation is still ongoing, and Maloney was arrested without incident. Joplin Fire Marshal is called in to investigate a house fire just after 11:30 Sunday morning. Fire crews were called to a home at 819 South Jackson. Acting Battalion Chief Dustin Lunlow tells us as he arrived, the front of the house was fully involved. No one was at home at the time of the fire. However, one person was checked out by medical personnel as they were checking on occupants before first responders arrived. No firefighters were injured. Fire marshal was called because the cause of the fire is currently unknown. Almost 11 years after a tornado devastated the Joplin community, an event to honor the 161 victims and celebrate Joplin's growth and resilience. Joplin Memorial Run honors those lost by providing tornado relief and now focuses on improving the health of Joplin residents. Proceeds from this year's race will go towards a sculpture to remember those lives lost. Some furry friends took to the runway over the weekend. The Nevada Animal Shelter Project Runway is an event to raise money for the Nevada, Vernon County Chamber and Nevada Animal Shelter. One activity featured a fashion show that showcased local fashion and furry friends. Other activities included food, music, and a silent auction. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Consistently high 80s, if not 90s this week. Going to be challenging some afternoon record high temps, overnight lows, 60s and 70s. Keep the rain at bay until we get to Friday. Be back with more KOAM morning news right after this.
11 staff members at a Missouri hospital's maternity ward are not only busy taking care of their patients, they're also getting ready to become patients. You heard me right. 10 nurses and a doctor, all currently pregnant and expecting this year. What's in the water, you may ask? Well, Alan Shope tried to get an answer.
I'm one of 10 nurses and one physician here at Liberty Hospital expecting.
Which begs the question.
What's in the water?
No kidding, it may or may not be a record, but yes, 10 nurses and a doctor, all in the same maternity unit, are expecting.
May 27th.
May 27th.
June 18th.
July 20th.
July 30th.
August 13th.
September 6th.
October the 8th.
October 17th.
October 31st.
That's a busy schedule.
I think almost all of our shifts are consumed by baby talk. We talk about names, how we're decorating. Some of us share, some of us don't.
We actually haven't had anyone say the same names yet.
Yeah, that's probably the tricky part.
We have 3 that are being surprise babies, but the rest of us know.
Some of us don't want to know.
And the patients in the maternity ward got a lot of questions.
They're all very shocked.
They just usually ask like what I'm having.
They're excited for us.
The nurses say in no way was this planned, with the first 2 babies expected on the same day in a couple of weeks. The last one right now expected on Thanksgiving.
We have lots of play dates in our future.
It's really nice to go through this journey together.
It's a pretty big deal to have a baby.
We've made jokes that some of our nurses that aren't expecting should open a daycare.
That's a great idea. What is in the water?
Yeah, I don't know, but people are going to come here and want some.
Liberty Hospital says they are extremely excited for all the women in the unit, and they admit filling shifts on maternity leaves will be interesting. I don't think this is the first time this has happened at a Kansas City area hospital, so something is definitely in the water up there. We'll be right back.
All the way up into the high 80s today, a little bit windy. We're going to talk about just how many times we can tackle a possible record high this week when we return right after this.
Coming up, authorities in Allen County arrest a man on suspicion of first-degree murder.
Chance to tackle some record highs this week. Nice thing is, don't have to worry about rain until the end of the week. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we roll into the Joplin Union Depot to take a closer look at a local landmark.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first, let's go to Michael Hayslip.
Gorgeous, gorgeous start coming off of what was a warm Mother's Day. The cloud cover really did help us out, kept us from getting too hot. This week, however, chance to break a couple afternoon record highs. Current conditions over 7th and Rangeline in Joplin. Already sitting at 75 degrees. Look at that wind. Already picked up a gust as well at 30 miles per hour at Joplin Regional Airport. Our average high for the middle of May should be around 75 degrees. We're going to be cruising past this by about 10 to 15 degrees each and every day this week. And a large part of that is the sunshine, and combined with the south wind as we now have Nevada joining Independence as far as the 20-mile-an-hour zone. Flood warnings for the northern portion of southwest Missouri for the Osage, Little Osage, and the Marmaton. And then we've got the Neosho running down south. Both those flood warnings in effect all the way into Tuesday morning. The entire Midwest looking absolutely pristine. So if you got to be on the road, you are in luck. You won't even need a light jacket. Probably end up with short sleeve shirt weather here for the rest of the week as we're already in the mid 70s. As far as our weather trend for today, we're going to stop a little bit short of any record highs today because we'd have to get up around 92. We'll top out around 87, 88. A couple days that I do want to point out here, and one of those is going to begin tomorrow, as we'll be up around 90 degrees. 92, once again, is going to be the record for tomorrow. So if we scrape that out, we got a chance to break a record. And Thursday, another one. And that's not to say that Wednesday and Friday aren't going to be abnormally warm and nice as well, but it's Tuesday and Thursday where we've got a chance to break those afternoon records. Next emergence for rain, not until we get into the weekend. Great looking overnight lows as well. Wonderful chance to open up all the windows, kind of air out the joint, and not have to worry about oppressive humidity as well. Tanya?
All right, yeah. It's nice to be able to air out and
the joint.
take care of it.
You didn't like that? Air out the joint?
Enjoy it. That's what's key.
Well, I was going to say house, and then I was like, well, not everybody lives in a house. And air at the house, and I was like, well.
Air out the joint? Is that what you said?
Yeah, just kind of like the place
I'm having
where,
the hearing issues
the place
in
where
there,
you
too.
live.
Yeah.
Oh, we should point out to people that if Tanya and I are ever like this, if I ever do this, it's common because I'm hard of hearing. But we have a number of fans that are running in the studio right now because we're looking at these possible record highs.
And there's no real way to air out the studio. It's enclosed, so.
It is enclosed.
Yeah, so airing out this joint isn't going to happen.
Thank you for the double finger guns as well as the wink and
And use of joint. There you go. All right, moving along, a Joplin house fire turns into an investigation. Just after 11:30 Sunday morning, fire crews were called to this home in 819 South Jackson. Acting Battalion Chief Dustin Lunlow tells us as he arrived, the front of the house was fully involved. No one was home at the time of the fire. However, one person was checked out by medical personnel as they were checking on occupants before first responders arrived. No firefighters were injured. Fire marshal was called because the cause of the fire is currently unknown. KBI and Allen County Sheriff's Office make an arrest in connection to the death of an Allen County man. Officers arrested Raymond Maloney at his residence in La Harpe, Kansas. Maloney was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder connected to the killing of 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say Maloney and Deal were neighbors. The investigation is still ongoing. Maloney was arrested without incident. We've got a travel advisory for drivers on Joplin's southwest side. Starting today, travelers can expect lane shifts at the intersection of 32nd and Schifferdecker. This is as work continues on the 32nd Street widening project. Traffic signals at the intersection will be placed in a flashing red mode, making it a four-way stop. If weather holds, this will be expected to last for about a week. There will also be some lane changes as work continues on the widening project in that area. Future of the Joplin Union Depot just got brighter following a Wednesday announcement by the Downtown Joplin Alliance. There have been a number of ideas for the depot over the years, which has sat empty since 1969. However, none of those ideas have ever come to be, leaving the depot sitting and decaying. We spoke with Jill Sullivan about what makes the depot worth saving even after 53 years.
The building itself is an architectural wonder. It's beautiful and stunning. However, I think all of the stories of the people coming and going to our community, leaving our community, visiting our community, I think that that's just as important to preserve, and that by preserving the building, we also help to preserve those stories.
The depot's construction was featured in a January 1912 article of Popular Mechanics, and we have a link to that article over at KOAMnewsnow.com. Almost 11 years after a tornado devastated Joplin, the community laces up for an annual event to honor the 161 victims and celebrate Joplin's growth and resilience. Joplin Memorial Run honors those lost by providing tornado relief and now focusing on improving health of Joplin residents. Proceeds from this year's race will go towards a sculpture to remember those lives lost.
At the Harry Cornell Arts and Performance Complex, it will resemble the banners along the race route and will have the names of all 161 victims around the base. So it's going to be a beautiful tribute to those individuals.
Coming up, when the KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14, our own Bronte Sorotsky talks to runners on why they take part in this race every year. Well, today marks the end of World War II, a national day of celebration for Russians. For Russians, the day, or Victory Day, marks the 1945 defeat of Nazi Germany. This morning, Russian leader Vladimir Putin attended a military parade in Moscow's Red Square. Some experts believe Putin may use the occasion to formally declare war on Ukraine, make it easier to mobilize troops. Putin has described the invasion of Ukraine as an attempt to denazify the country. Meanwhile, the First Lady, Jill Biden, made a surprise trip on Mother's Day to the western part of Ukraine to meet with the country's embattled First Lady in a show of solidarity. We'll have more on the invasion of Ukraine later in the show. Well, on this date in 1960, the Food and Drug Administration approves the world's first commercially produced birth control pill, Inovid 10. Development of the pill, as it became popularly known, was initially commissioned by birth control pioneer Margaret Sanger. Sanger, who opened the first birth control clinic in the United States in 1916, hoped to encourage the development of a more practical and effective alternative to contraceptives that were in use at the time. In the early 1950s, Gregory Pincus, a biochemist at the Worcester Foundation for Experimental Biology, and John Rock, a gynecologist at Harvard Medical School, began work on a birth control pill. And then May 9th, 1960, the FDA approved the pill, granting greater reproductive freedom to American women. And there you have it.
And now, I thought you were going to go Paul Harvey on me right there. And now you know.
The rest of the story.
What we're watching this week are warm temps and gusty winds. We're already underway with that one. It's going to last till the end of the week with temps well above normal. Why don't we challenge some record highs on both Tuesday and Thursdays? We'll throw some 90s up there on the board. Pattern change over the weekend. That'll be the reemergence of rain and our temps returning to normal, which would be mid-70s, but not until next week.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a young girl's first communion should be a memorable experience. And we're going to introduce you to a 7-year-old who made sure hers was. Plus, pro-choice activists gathered on the steps of the Supreme Court in protest of what looks to be the court's impending decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And Sunday was Mother's Day, the day we make sure mom is the focus. After the break, we've got tips for how to keep mom's health and focus all year round. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, yesterday, abortion rights activists used Mother's Day to launch what they called a national women's strike. Elise Preston is here with more on that and other protests in response to the leaked Supreme Court draft document that has opened the possibility the court will overturn Roe v. Wade.
What side are we on, my people? Abortion rights supporters nationwide are vowing to keep up the fight. From Oklahoma to Ohio and outside the Supreme Court today, outrage over a leaked draft majority opinion indicating the Supreme Court may be poised to overturn Roe v. Wade, which would end the constitutional right to abortion.
I will be damned if I don't fight and if we don't fight, because we cannot go backwards.
In Wisconsin today, firefighters confirmed the headquarters of an anti-abortion rights group was a target of arson. Demonstrators on Saturday took their battle directly to the homes of Supreme Court Justices John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh.
You don't get to take away my bodily autonomy and enjoy your Saturday night at home.
The justices' home addresses were leaked online, renewing concerns for their safety. On Friday, conservative Justice Clarence Thomas told a judicial conference the court cannot be an institution that can be bullied into giving you just the outcomes you want. A CBS News poll out today shows 64% of Americans believe the Supreme Court should keep Roe v. Wade in place. The poll also shows those who want to make abortion illegal in their state say abortion is not a right, that abortions are too easy to obtain, or that abortion is against their religious beliefs.
If you believe as I believe, that's an unborn child in that mother's womb. That is what we're trying to do, is stand up for the rights of those unborn children.
Democrat leaders say the battle on Capitol Hill is not over.
And here we are on Mother's Day, a week where the court has slapped women in the face in terms of disrespect for their judgment about the size and timing of their families.
Not on our watch will you take away women's rights. Will you take away the right to choose?
Today in New York, Chuck Schumer outlined a vote planned in Congress this week aimed at protecting abortion rights. It is not expected to pass, but Schumer says he wants Americans to know where lawmakers stand ahead of the midterm elections. In New York, Elise Preston, CBS News.
3 Iowa teens were shot during a prom after party early Sunday morning. Des Moines police say there were 200 people at the house at the time of the shooting. A 17-year-old girl and 2 18-year-old men were shot, but none of the injuries life-threatening. Police believe a fight broke out when a group that was not invited to the party showed up. Shooting remains under investigation. That's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
A young child's first communion is supposed to be a memorable occasion. And in South Dakota, a 7-year-old's first sacrament became so memorable, It went viral, all because evidently she could not get enough of the communion wine. Jeannie Moose has her story.
It was her first communion, and when the priest gave 7-year-old Brinley Heidebrink a wafer, she nibbled it daintily. But when Father Andrew Young handed Brinley the chalice, she tipped it back and chugged, and chugged, and chugged, guzzling the wine till even Father Andy couldn't hide his astonishment. She then folded her hands and exited gracefully. The angelic walkaway left me dead, posted one fan. Did she actually empty the chalice?
Yeah, I think so.
Her mom says Brinley was a bit nervous about the wine beforehand, asking,
"How much am I supposed to drink again?" And I literally told her, just tip it back, let it touch your lips, you don't even have to swallow.
She didn't just swallow, she wallowed in it.
I'm like, "Why did you drink so much? Do you remember?" "I don't know."
The Brandon, South Dakota girl told Mom she didn't even like the taste. After the wine went down the hatch, they sat down for spaghetti dinner.
She was a little talkative, and her cheeks were just flushed the entire night.
This is a kid whose favorite drink is usually
Sprite.
It was as if her first communion coincided with happy hour. Jeannie Moose, CNN.
Get her a spot in the new Animal House movie right there. I think so oftentimes too when we see kids do what we consider funny things, it's not so much what the kids are doing, but it's the adults' reaction to what the kids are doing. And I love just watching the priest right there. He's like, do you want me to take, I can take that, I can take it from, and she's just like, no, it's cool, man. I got this. Look at Old Glory outside of Television City as we see that wind whipping in from the due south. Live look over 7th and Rangeline. Very comfortable, 75 degrees. We're just 5 minutes officially past sunrise at Joplin Regional Airport. No cloud cover to worry about, so it's going to be absolutely delightful, and it's going to be a tad bit windy. Now, we do not have any wind advisories in effect, but we're already pushing gusts close to 30 miles per hour. I want to reload that. I'm not buying that one right there in Chanute because I know it's coming in about 25, 30 miles per hour there as well. Probably just a little airport glitch as far as what we're picking up wind-wise, which is the last thing I know that if you're like, hey, I want to fly out of Chanute this morning, what's it going to be like? We'll fix that. A little light cloud cover, far eastern edge of southwest Missouri, but the entire Midwest looking absolutely gorgeous. If you have to be on the road, no matter what direction you're traveling, won't run into any problems. But we do still have some residual problems left over from last week. Flood warnings throughout Vernon County for the Osage, Little Osage, and the Marmonton until Tuesday morning. Same pretty much time frame for the Neosho, running through portions of Labette, Cherokee, and down into Ottawa County in northeast Oklahoma. Now, nationally speaking, you just see the flood warning dots from last week's storm system, lasting from us down south as far as Texas, all the way east to New York State. Carved ourselves out, nice little warm bubble right there, despite the fact that the ridge of the jet stream has moved over the Great Lakes. Gradually, we'll see the warmer temperatures move along with the ridge, but tell you what, on the backside of it, when you get on the east side of the Rockies, it is going to be delightful pretty much all week long, to the tune of challenging some record highs. Won't get there today. Tuesday and Thursday in particular is what we're looking at as far as the record highs go. And with that being said, bring out the old outdoor activity forecast, whether it be mowing or anything else. Do want everybody to pay attention. Tuesday and Thursday, it's going to be pressing up about 90, feel about like 92, 93. So let's drop that into the fair category. Monday and Wednesday, though, we'll keep those in the good category because I know everybody's chomping at the bit to get out and get some fresh air. Not a whole lot of difference between today other than the humidity. That's going to be the big difference right there. 88, 89, 86, and then we do have some rain begin to reemerge and cooler temperatures, actually more normal temperatures, I should say, cooler than what we'll have this week, but that's almost on par for where we should be as we transition into next week. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, whether you're a mother or a mother figure, this is the time of year we celebrate you and all you do for your family. But doctors say it's also important to focus on yourself. Mandy Gaither has ways to do that for every day of the year.
She's often taking care of everyone else before even thinking of herself. But moms need help staying healthy too.
Patients will come in, since I'm a cardiologist, patients will come in for chest pain, for palpitations, for shortness of breath.
And then you realize there's also something else going on.
Dr. Susan Chang is a cardiologist and often sees the stress moms can put on their bodies. She says it can weigh on their health and worsen underlying health conditions.
So that constant stress, the constant surge of stress hormones has definitely taken a toll on the heart-brain connection, and in particular the heart.
Chang says part of staying healthy is recognizing the stress, asking for help from family members, and accepting it. She says you also have to help yourself, get enough sleep, and prioritize personal time. Don't feel guilty for taking it.
Please try to put this on your daily calendar. Schedule it. Schedule it like it's really important. Don't let anything get in the way.
That time can include exercise, meditation, or just sitting in silence. Chang says this Mother's Day and always it's important to take a break.
U.S. Department of Health and Human Services is also launching a new confidential toll-free hotline for expecting and new moms who are experiencing mental health challenges. The number 1-833-9-HELP-FOR-MOMS. The line launched yesterday on Mother's Day. Well, it's National Nurses Week. This week, the American Nurses Association says there are more than 4 million registered nurses, making them the highest percentage of healthcare workers in the U.S. New research shows children and teens from low-income families experience more weight gain during the first months of the pandemic. A study from Nationwide Children's Hospital found 1 in 5 children aged 2 to 17 gained about 11 pounds or more. Researchers say lockdowns early in the pandemic may have made existing racial and ethnic disparities in obesity worse. Well, women who are overweight or obese are at higher risk of broken bones, and that's according to new research presented at the European Congress on Obesity. Researchers found for men, being underweight is associated with an increased risk of fractures. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Warm, windy weather this week. As a matter of fact, we're looking at Tuesdays and Thursdays as a chance to challenge some record highs. We'll be back right after this.
Coming up, authorities in Allen County arrest a man on suspicion of first-degree murder.
Key for this week is going to be how many times we get close to challenging a record high. We're going to break it down and restart the Daily Almanac from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we roll into the Joplin Union Depot to take a closer look at a local landmark.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. We'll get to those stories in just a moment, but first let's go to Michael Hayslip, where we've got some dry weather ahead of us. Magic?
No.
The Force?
No.
Oh.
Me with a little talk with technology.
And Mother Nature, because she's given us some nicer weather this week.
I said, look here, technology, do you want to get in the way of Mother Nature? And all of a sudden, technology took a big step back and said, I will cooperate with you, Michael.
There you go.
Now we're all on the same page. Record high for this Monday, May the 9th, would be 89 degrees. We'll get close. Don't think we'll break that one today. But we do have a chance here, especially on Tuesday and Thursday. Gorgeous start outside of Television City. South wind coming in, taking care of Old Glory. Gotta just standing up just about straight right now. Here's what to watch for this week. Warm temps, gusty south winds begin today, last until the end of the week. Temps well above normal, challenge those record highs for several days. Then a pattern change over the weekend with the reemergence of some rain. And then next week, back down to about our normal daily highs. But that's 75 right there. That's where we would anticipate being on a May 9th afternoon, not just maybe 15, 16 minutes after sunrise, as we're already sitting in the mid-70s right now. It has been already blustery. Got Chinook back up on the board, 20 mile per hour. That is a sustained wind. Those are not gusts. And of course, coming off of the record rainfall, talk about record temps this week, coming off of some record rainfall that we had last week. Still flood warnings for the Osage, Little Osage, Marmonton up to the north, and then the Neosho River, both those with similar time frames, not expected to expire until Tuesday morning. Skywatch Storm Tracker looking great for us and the entire Midwest. Everybody with a chance to breathe easy and enjoy some nice warm temperatures, anywhere from about 68 to 76 right now. So we do see a wide variation with our cooler temps out to the east. As far as what we're looking at for our day planner, incrementally stepping up, top out in between, say about 4:30 this afternoon, and we'll be up into the high 80s. Wind is not going to go anywhere, however. Now, future track, every now and then you see just a little pop of green. A lot of that won't even be able to hit the ground. We're going to go ahead and stay on the dry side for really the majority of the week. 7-day forecast. Tuesday and Thursday are the ones we're pinpointing to break possible records. Overnight lows absolutely delightful. Hanging out in the high 60s and low 70s each and every night before we get to the weekend.
All right. Well, I wish it's too soon for me to hit the 90s. I'd like to have a whole week in the 70s. We skipped that, you realize? A week in the 70s?
We will be there next week.
Okay.
Next week we'll have the return to the mid to high 70s.
This is our warm week, back to normal.
Yep.
I like that. All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, KBI and Allen County Sheriff's Office make an arrest in connection to the death of an Allen County man. Officers arrested Raymond Maloney at his residence in La Harpe, Kansas. Maloney was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder connected to the killing of 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say Maloney and Deal were neighbors. The investigation is still ongoing, and Maloney was arrested without incident. We've got a travel advisory for drivers on Joplin's southwest side. Starting today, travelers can expect lane shifts at the intersection of 32nd and Schifferdecker. This is as work continues on the 32nd Street widening project. Traffic signals at the intersection will be placed in a flashing red mode, making it a four-way stop. If weather holds, this will be expected to last for about a week. There will also be some lane changes as work continues on the widening project in that area. Future of the Joplin Union Depot is looking brighter following an announcement by the Downtown Joplin Alliance on Wednesday. There have been a number of ideas for the depot over the years, which has sat empty since 1969. However, none of those ideas ever came to be, leaving the depot sitting and decaying. We spoke with Jill Sullivan about what makes the depot worth saving even after 53 years.
The building itself is an architectural wonder. It's beautiful and stunning. However, I think all of the stories of the people coming and going to our community, leaving our community, visiting our community, I think that that's just as important to preserve, and that by preserving the building, we also help to preserve those stories.
The depot's construction was featured in a January 1912 article of Popular Mechanics. We have a link to that article over at KOAMnewsnow.com. Today, Russians are commemorating the anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe. It's a major holiday for the country. This year, it's being scrutinized for signals about the Kremlin's plans in Ukraine. Bradley Blackburn has the latest from New York.
Russia is observing Victory Day, a celebration of the 1945 defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. This morning, Russian leader Vladimir Putin attended a military parade in Moscow's Red Square. Putin has described the invasion of Ukraine as an effort to denazify it. Some observers believe Putin might use the occasion to formally declare war on Ukraine. Doing so would make it easier to mobilize more troops to aid what the Kremlin calls a special military operation against its much smaller neighbor.
There were a lot of hopes that Putin and the people in the Kremlin just could proclaim a victory and somehow de-escalate. Now we know that the 9th of May is not going to be the date.
Never again. In a new video, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said evil returned to his country when Russia invaded in February. Officials say as many as 60 people were killed in a Russian attack on a school being used as a shelter. Meanwhile, in a Kyiv subway station that recently acted as a shelter, members of the rock band U2 performed for locals.
I think it's one man's war, really, and I trust in the younger people in Russia to throw this man out of his office that was so high and is so low right now.
And in a surprise visit, First Lady Jill Biden met with Ukraine's First Lady in the western part of the country, a Mother's Day show of solidarity. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Kremlin officials denied reports saying a full-scale declaration of war was in the works. A spokesman said nothing would be allowed to cast a shadow over a day that's sacred to Russians. On this date back in 1950, L. Ron Hubbard published the book Dianetics, the modern science of mental health. Hubbard was already a prolific and frequently published writer of pulp fiction, especially science fiction and fantasy. After returning from the Navy in 1949, Hubbard began writing a series of articles for the magazine Astonishing Science Fiction. Out of those articles grew the massive text that would become Dianetics. Though discredited by the medical and scientific establishment, over 100,000 copies of Dianetics were sold in the first 2 years of publication, and Hubbard soon found himself lecturing across the country. Despite controversy and condemnation, Hubbard went on to expand Dianetics into Scientology, which went from a popular movement into a multi-million-dollar religion. And there you have it.
Point of conversation in the Hayslip vehicle over the weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and did not
Scientology or
did not know about the anniversary. L. Ron Hubbard as a whole, as a person. Kale and I were discussing his youth. You never know what you're going to run into in a vehicle at the Hayslip household.
For sure.
Hey, special shout out to Bryce and Melinda this weekend. I'm going to use my platform here real fast. Bryce and Melinda and everybody else that was around myself and my son and making sure that he was taken care of. It means a lot to us, and we greatly appreciate it. And then we had the conversation on the ride after that. And there you have it. And now you know
the rest of the story.
Thank you, Paul Harvey.
Good day. This is a Paul Harvey morning.
You just walked over my Paul Harvey. Good day. Limited. It's limited fake Paul Harvey.
Yeah. You've done better.
Good day. I'll work on it. That's what I got.
And I'll let you do the weather now.
It's going to be hot and windy for today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. Now, Thursday and Tuesday, those are the 2 days we're pointing out, chance to break record high temperatures. Yeah, we get it. We could throw up a 91 or a 92 at one of our airports right there. We'll be in the record books for 2022, and it'll be nice to talk about breaking a record that's not rain-related.
Kids, you finally have our permission to wear shorts. I know you've been doing it for some time.
I was going to say, kids are... if any kids are up
don't need
looking
the
at you
rain
right
jacket.
now, they're like, permission?
Right, you know. You can ride your bike to and from school today. We've had so much rain, it's like they want to in the morning, but you know they won't be able to make it home, or the other way around, you know.
Right.
Like, maybe not today.
This
Maybe
week
not
would be
today.
perfect for walking, riding the entire night.
Get outdoors and enjoy it. But be careful if it gets too hot. Hydrate. Drink lots of water.
Yeah, good point.
I'm trying to hydrate in the studio.
And you always like to point out,
Sunscreen.
it's time to talk about sunscreen this week.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of sunshine.
Even if the clouds are out, still get a sunburn. All right, that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. World's largest hotel chain prepares to go head-to-head with an Airbnb over private home rental. Plus, we all know the real fight between Marvel and DC takes place at the box office, but today we're going to let you step in the ring of this highly contentious fight. Tell us, who's your superhero entertainment provider of choice? We let you weigh in. We'll be right back. In Consumer Watch this morning, the world's largest hotel company is trying to take Airbnb on directly by offering private homes for rental. Marriott International has signed up 60,000 properties to add to its 1.5 million hotel rooms. The hotel chain said it created its homes and villas offering to meet the growing demand for short-term rentals. By comparison, Marriott's initial offering is considerably smaller than Airbnb's 6 million listings. But Marriott says all of its properties come with its guarantees as well as its loyalty rewards program. In many cases, travelers can also receive hotel benefits like access to resort amenities without having to go inside a lobby. An eventful week on Wall Street ends on a down note Friday. The Dow fell 98 points. The Nasdaq dropped 173 and the S&P 500 was off 23. Bad week for the cryptocurrency market was followed by an even worse weekend. On Sunday, Bitcoin's price dipped below $34,000, roughly half of what it sold for less than 6 months ago. Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies have experienced similar declines. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Michael for something to talk about.
You said bad week. I thought you said bad beat. which I thought you meant we were going to talk about Derby. Because if you had Rich Strike, it was anything but a bad
Second biggest
beat.
upset in Kentucky Derby history. I watched it live on my big screen. So exciting. I didn't place any money on any
Question
horses,
is,
though.
would you
I
throw
should've.
down on that 80 to 1?
80 to 1? No. Did you have money on him?
Oh, I refuse to comment on rumor and speculation.
Ooh, Rich Strike coming out of nowhere.
This morning, we're talking Doctor Strange, as this weekend Doctor Strange 2 came out, according to Disney. Opening weekend total, $85 million, placed it at #1 as far as an opening movie goes. Right behind Spider-Man, post-pandemic for a first week. Elizabeth Olsen continues her WandaVision story arc in the film as well. Our question for you this morning, do you prefer Marvel or DC? Right now, 68% of you chiming in saying it is indeed Marvel. Couple ways to connect. Remember, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We'll be back with birthdays and anniversaries next.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, technician 5th grade Leroy Hardy. Liberal Missouri native, served from 1944 to 1945 in Germany with the B Company's 756th Tank Battalion. This decorated veteran also earned the Bronze Star. To technician 5th grade Leroy Hardy, we thank you. Today's four-state hero.
The birthday list begins with angler extraordinaire Mr. Pike Storm. Pike, that's a great catch right there, my friend. He is celebrating his 5th birthday in Jasper.
All right, and Jeremiah Palmer, turning 11 years old this year in Crestline. Happy birthday, Jeremiah.
Look, out by the beach right there, looks like a nice one. Kyler Beard, happy 14th birthday to you. He is ready to rumble in the jungle. Look at the dog's face. I think the dog got caught off guard when mom or dad snapped the picture of Kyler. That is tremendous. Happy birthday, Kyler in Columbus.
Aw, it's hard to get a dog to pose well. Let's see, we've got Cohen Frankenberry, turning 15 years old this year in Fredonia. Suited up and ready to play. Happy birthday, Cohen.
Oh, time to make an appointment at the DMV. Nathan West, celebrating that 16th birthday and making that driver's license official. Nathan, a very happy birthday to you. He is in Webb City.
All right, we've got Cheyenne Conder, turning 24 years old this year. There she is with her dogs Snyder and Piper there. Great picture there of Cheyenne. What?
I said those are cute dogs.
Yeah, they are.
I guarantee
they're
you.
so fluffy.
They are spoiled, I can tell. I can tell Cheyenne takes very good care of them. That's tremendous. Tammy Jarvis, celebrating her 44th birthday. Miss Tammy, a very happy birthday to you. She is in Girard.
All right, in Moran, Kansas, Pat Dudley, celebrating birthday number 71. We like to call her Mrs. Claus. Like the hat. Like the hat.
Earl Hemphill, I do not remember doing his earlier this month. Because I know Mr. Hemphill, and I probably would have said something. I don't know. Anyway, Mr. Hemphill's actual 93rd birthday is today. Evidently, Mr. Hemphill, I apologize that we announced this a week ago. If it were up to me, I'd give you the entire month of May in which to celebrate, sir. He is one of our four-state heroes. It's been a while. It's been a while since I ran into Mr. Hemphill for obvious reasons with the shutdown and whatnot. But Earl, I hope I do see you out and about here sometime soon. And a very happy birthday to you. He is in Columbus.
All right, and Joyce Holman, celebrating a birthday in Columbus as well. A lovely picture there of Miss Joyce. Hope you have a wonderful birthday.
That would be our second Christmas themed
I know.
picture. Yeah, it's interesting. Danielle Webb, a very happy birthday to you. Paul Cupp Jr., he is turning 38. Happy birthday to Paul in Crestline. And Doris Richardson with a birthday. Miss Doris, she is in Columbus.
Let's see, Nolan Harity, turning 17 years old this year. Nolan is in Altamont. And let's see, someone who celebrated a birthday last Friday has got an anniversary today, Mike and his wife Terry Broadwater. Mike and Terry, 36 years today in Joplin.
Terry and Robin Town are celebrating their 8th anniversary. Congratulations to the Towns in Iola. And in Columbus, let's give him a screen all to himself. Mr. Bob Price celebrating a birthday. Bob, a very happy birthday to you. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all as we celebrate on this May the 9th. Or if you're like our good friend Mr. Hemphill, we're just going to carry this thing on to the entire 5th month of the year. That's where you can send them into, birthdays at KOAMTV.com. You can also go to our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. Here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right. You can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club by going to our website and signing up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMNewsNow.com. Sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today.
Coming up, when the KOAM Morning News transitions over to Fox 14, we're going to introduce you to the graduating class of the 2022 Georgia Academy of the Blind. Yearbooks are a special way to commemorate and remember one's school years, and it's no different for these seniors. But their yearbooks, yeah, they may just be a little bit different, and you're going to want to find out exactly how they put this all together. That's when the KOAM Morning News opens up on Fox 14. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The KBI and Allen County Sheriff's Office have made an arrest related to the death of an Allen County man. Officers arrested Raymond Maloney at his residence in La Harpe, Kansas. Maloney was arrested on suspicion of first-degree murder connected to the killing of 68-year-old Richard Deal. Authorities say Maloney and Deal were neighbors. The investigation is still ongoing, and Maloney was arrested without incident. Joplin Fire Marshal is called in to investigate a house fire just after 11:30 Sunday morning. Fire crews were called to a home at 819 South Jackson. Acting Battalion Chief Dustin Lunlow tells us as he arrived, the front of the house was fully involved. No one was home at the time of the fire. However, one person was checked out by medical personnel as they were checking on occupants before first responders arrived. No firefighters were injured. Fire marshal was called because the cause of the fire is currently unknown. Almost 11 years after a tornado devastated the Joplin community, an event to honor the 161 victims and celebrate Joplin's growth and resilience took place. Joplin Memorial Run honors those lost by providing tornado relief and now focuses on improving the health of Joplin residents. Proceeds from this year's race will go towards a sculpture to remember those lives lost. Some furry friends took to the runway, the Nevada Animal Shelter Project Runway, an event to raise money for the Nevada-Vernon County Chamber and Nevada Animal Shelter. One activity featured a fashion show that showcased local fashion and furry friends. Other activities included food, music, and a silent auction. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Great start to our Monday morning, ranging from 68 to 76 degrees. You can probably go ahead and rock the short sleeves this morning if you'd like to. Definitely going to want them this afternoon as it's going to be sunny and windy, work up into the high 80s. We stay on the warm, windy, and dry side for the duration of this week with a chance to challenge, if not break some records on both Tuesday and Thursday for afternoon high temps.
All right. Well, coming up today at noon, we're making noodles Romanoff in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
Which is so interesting because last week we did a This Day in History that I tied into the Romanoffs. Coco Chanel.
Yeah.
I can tie her into the Romanoff family, as a matter of fact. Your morning news continues on KOAM. The CBS Morning News coming up next. Russian leader Vladimir Putin defends the Russian invasion of Ukraine during a speech from Red Square.
Or you could switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, we've got a guest in the KOAM studio who's making a special delivery on how you can stamp out hunger.
Plus, did you know leafy greens may be your first line of defense against dementia? We're going to find out why, and of course, that amazing story coming out of the Georgia School for the Blind and just how they put their yearbooks together. That wraps it up for this Monday edition. I want you to have a great Monday. Be safe. We'll do this all again tomorrow morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.